And is there an overemphasis on this in the U.S.? Gosh, I don't know. Yes and no. I've been to other cultures that were more had more issues with, from primarily military. Like I worked with the Republic of Korean Army quite a bit, and they don't have, they're probably where America was in the 1940s and 50s. Women aren't fully integrated into their forces, but they have an entire female unit of special forces operatives, which is kind of cool. I got to train with them. Yeah. Their mission was to infiltrate North Korean cities in time of war. So they practice Taekwondo every morning. That's what we would go and do for physical training. So, and all of them, you know, these military throughout time has dictated very feminine attire. There are regulations on how much nail polish you can wear and how long your nails can be and how you wear your hair, and it's sad. And so all of those women were required to have long hair because that would, well, in the small villages, would have been culturally normal.
Because they would have to be undercover.
Yes, yeah, anti-terrorist kind of things. Yeah.
So what about the military in the U.S.? What are the regulations there as
You
far
know, they
as?
changed when I first went in the 80s. Let me see. Hair could not touch the collar. Let's see, there were all kinds of hairstyles you couldn't have. You couldn't have dreads, cornrows, or anything like that. Your hair color had to be a natural shade, no pink or purple. We weren't allowed to wear nail polish in the camouflage uniforms. Technically, by regulation, we were all supposed to have white or brown underwear. But I never inspected that. Nor was I inspected. But other things, like you're not allowed body jewelry, and there's a lot of conformity.
I know a lot of corporate places regulate how much perfume or if you can wear perfume at all. I worked in a very corporate area, and I came in and I wear perfume. I don't wear a lot, just a hint, and they smelled it and said, you know, don't ever come back wearing that again. Like, it's not acceptable to wear cologne or perfume.
You know, if you're going to be wait staff at Ruby Tuesday, you're supposed to cover your tattoos if they show.
Are women required to wear skirts in their dress uniforms in U.S. military?
I'm sorry, say again?
Are women required to wear skirts for their dress attire in the military?
In some of the different, because you know there are different levels of
Right.
dress. In some there are no pant options, so yes, you must.
Are they required to shave their legs?
I don't remember. I don't remember. I didn't inspect.
And when I was in the military, I didn't mean to bring this up, but when we were in boot camp, somebody misused a razor, like trying to cut the wrist or something. So they banned us from razors, and I snuck one in my drawer because I've always got stuck in my legs. So I didn't want to go without shaving my legs because I felt so. Because I was so used to doing that, but I remember in boot camp, I had all this makeup, all these curling irons, all this stuff, and the recruiter had lied to me. He said, "Oh, you're going on a vacation," which was totally opposite. When I got there, you had to have your hair cut, like she stopped at
But, you
about.
know, that's probably been a few years.
I was in during the 80s.
Yeah, it's increased. It changes
And
very
then
rapidly.
they packed up all my stuff, you know, gave us boots and stuff like that, shipped it all back home. My mom was like, "Why'd they do this?" I said, "Where's Dad at?" Because he was in the military and he's the one that had talked me into going in because he was in World War II. And I said, "Where's he at?" "I haven't seen him since you went into boot camp." You tell him when I talk to him, I'm going to kill him.
This increasing integration, you know, you would routinely be out for weeks at a time, so there was less concern with those types of
Yeah,
things.
running the rain.
No, like deployed out, sleeping in the tents and operating full time.
Yeah, I was
So,
in the Navy, so.
Yeah.
In inspections, we were required to wear skirts.
So, I've actually recently been discharged from military service, and you'll be surprised that most of the regulations are still the same.
Are they really?
Yes.
Ah.
Well,
Yeah.
For shaving legs, if you're gonna have a skirt on, the Marine Corps requirements that you have to wear like skin color pantyhose. If at any time that you look out of regulation because of your leg hair, you can and will be in trouble for
So you were expected to shave your legs?
yes and no. If it was like really bad, if it was really bad and like you could tell, or then, but for the most part you would want to because you had to wear pantyhose anyway.
Well, I was just going to ask a brief question. I'm curious if the women here feel like that they have to achieve what it is that you're looking to achieve in your life. Do you feel like that you have to masquerade in any way?
I'm getting married soon and applying to grad schools. And I thought I cannot have a child before I'm done with grad school, or else I will not be able to be at a competitive level with the other students. So that's part of it, I suppose. So the motherhood part for womanhood, really, I'm questioning a lot of things regarding that.
Because the battles that we have, I think is what is most interesting to me about this question is how this affects us today and how this affects young women, and then what do we need to do about it? What kind of awareness raising that do we need to
So
do?
basically, the problem is the mommy trap.
Yeah.
That a man's career it doesn't change that much with parenthood. A woman's career changes radically, or could change radically with parenthood.
And that brings up a really
Yeah.
good point. I was recently interviewing for jobs, several of them, and they can't ask really if you have children, but they generally want to know, if you have kids, how is that going to affect you in the workplace? So I would always make it a point to say, I'm not the type to call into work because I don't have someone to take care of my kids. My kids are taken care of by their fathers when I'm working. That's not going to be a problem. If I need to work 60 hours a week, I can work 60 hours a week. Pretty much letting them know, I'm married to my job, and I think that is important if you want a career these days. I think it's something that employers think about. I don't think it should be like that. I think that men should be thought to be accountable for children too, but I don't think they are.
As late as the late 90s, I had to masquerade for a job I had. I was working in an automotive testing facility on the West Coast in an all-male department. It had been all-male since the inception of the company 45 years earlier. And I was the first woman in the department. And I ended up wearing masculinized attire, cutting my hair fairly short, not short, but fairly short. And having to compete with those men almost physically to be able to do their jobs so that they could rely on me. And it was very difficult for me. It was, I think, partly the corporate culture, but it was also very much expected by the president of the company. It was a privately held company, and if he decided that you were out, it didn't matter. And there have been way too many companies like that in the last 20, 30 years. So I think that there have been times in the past where I've had to do that. Today, I'm not willing to do that. And that's a change that's come over me in the last 2 or 3 years. But it's still out there.
Somebody over here
was
was
gonna
going to
say
say something.
I'm just gonna say, I'm very career driven. It's more important to me than family. And speaking with several of my friends who are around the same age, I just turned 22, and a lot of them are getting married and thinking about having children. And anytime it happens, I've actually only had it happen, or only not happened about 3 times. And I tell them, I'm waiting till I'm done with school. I'd like to wait until I'm about 30 to have children because I want to have the whole thing first, And I get just personally experienced, I don't know how other people feel, and I guess that's kind of a question as well. I get so much negative regarding that. They're like, well, your eggs will be too old by that time. Oh, well, your children will be, that's ridiculous. Well, don't you want to spend time with them? Well, or that, like, well, what about their father? Like, and I'm like, well, you know, my boyfriend and I are very serious. You know, we have talked about children, and when we both feel like whoever has a better opportunity to stay home with the child and wants to. And they're like, well, don't you want to stay home with them? And I'm like, well, of course they're my kids, but.
And I had the opposite issue. I had my children very young. I was 18 with the first, 20 with the second, and only in my 30s with the third. And I remember when I had my kids when I was 18, my parents said, oh, your life is over. You know, you can forget having a career, going to school, or any of it. It wasn't just my parents, it was everyone I knew. Yeah. And then in my career, I still managed to get my GED, go to school, get my master's, work 2 jobs. I mean, you know, having children doesn't mean your life has to be over.
They just tell teenagers that to try to delay sexual activity. That's the stereotype.
Yes, and my teenagers are on birth control. I don't care if they say they're having sex or not, they're on birth control. Because it certainly makes things more difficult, but.
I guess it goes back to womanhood. I resent the fact that motherhood is tied in with womanhood.
Yes.
To me, it shouldn't be. Motherhood is a caring nature. You know, why can't a father be just as caring as a mother? Why can't a father be every bit as protective, as nurturing, as wonderful as a mother could be? It's wrong also to stereotype males as being harsh and uncaring and, you know, rub some dirt in it kind of person. You know, my father was an extremely caring man, and I love him. Right, we are so close, and so I find that very resentful that people often categorize those two. To me, those should be separated, and that will help a lot with where we sit with womanhood and where we sit with women.
Do you feel that fatherhood is not tied into manhood then?
I feel like it's tied in with manhood. I don't believe a lot of people see fatherhood as being the same as, like, the same nurturing as motherhood. To them, fatherhood is like, you know, showing him how to play football, or, you know, being kind of rough.
Or lay down the law.
Exactly, like the father is the lawgiver or the disciplinary person. My household is not that way, you know, and I feel like
It's not that way in my house.
Yeah, so I feel like that's another stereotype, is that motherhood is the same.
I find it interesting that in like the media and our culture, there's all these movies like How Does She Do It, where it's like a woman that has so much trouble being married and having a kid and a lower level job, but men in movies, they're able to be like high executive CEOs and have 5 kids and a wife and happy marriage and 5 mistresses on the side, yet a woman can't have a kid and a job. I don't understand that.
There might be an applicable little stereotype here, and that is behind every successful man is a successful woman.
Sort of takes care of the creature
right.
comforts,
That's right.
organizes things.
Judy Brady's I Want a Wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.